Hello friends, welcome back to Shriyari Tax Mentis. Most of us are salaried employee and now being the return filing period, we shall be thinking what can be added in salary, what is the deduction from the salary and so on. So friends, today's our topic is income under the head salary. We are going to have a clear view of salary, what are the additions to be made, what are the deductions to be done. So friends, let us have look into the topics to be discussed today. Today we are going to discuss about calculation of income under the head salary, basis of charge, meaning of salary, allowances, annuity, pension, gratuity, leave salary or leave encashment, fees, commission, perquisite or provident fund, pension scheme, profits in lieu of salary, deductions from salary, and relief under section 89. Now, friends, before understanding income under the head salary, let us have a small look on the pro forma of calculation of income under the head salary. First, take the basic salary, then add fees, commission, and bonus, allowances, perquisites, retirement benefits. After adding all this, we get a gross salary. Then deduct deductions from salary, that is standard deduction, entertainment allowance under section 16, professional tax under section 16. After deducting all this, we get net salary. Now friends, let us understand section 15 of Income Tax Act 1961, that is basis of charge. What does actually basis of charge mean? Basis of charge means when does salary becomes chargeable to tax. So friends, salary becomes chargeable to tax either on due basis or on receipt basis, whichever is earlier. Sometimes friends, we receive salary in advance or in arrears. We can take best example of the present situation, that is COVID-19. Some of us might be receiving salary in arrears. So, how to deal with that situation? So, friends, if you are receiving salary in advance, then it shall be chargeable to tax when it is received. It is not relevant whether it is due or not. Then, friends, there comes a question in your mind that since advance salary is charged in the previous year, then whatever the year in which it becomes due. So, friends, it shall not be charged to tax in the year in which it becomes due, provided tax has been paid on such advance salary. Then, what about arrears in salary? Generally, arrears in salary must be charged on due basis. If arrears in salary are charged on due basis, then the same cannot be taxed when arrears in salary is received. So, friends, now let us understand quickly what does actually basis of charge mean. First one, salary is chargeable to tax either on due basis or on receipt basis, whichever is earlier. There shall be existence of employer and employee relationship between payer and payee to calculate it as income under the head salary. Income from salary is chargeable to tax based on the following conditions: salary due from employer, including former employer, to taxpayer during the previous year, whether paid or not. It means, friends, as soon as salary becomes due from the employer, it shall be charged to tax. Then, salary paid by employer, including former employer, to taxpayer during the previous year before it becomes due. This means, friends, whenever you are receiving the salary, whether it is due or not, it shall be chargeable to tax. Then, Arrear of salary paid by the employer, including former employer, to taxpayer during the previous year if not charged to tax in any earlier year. It means, friends, whenever arrear in salary becomes due, it shall be charged to tax and it shall not be charged to tax when it is received. There is one exception: remuneration, bonus, or commission received by a partner from the firm is not taxable under the head salaries, rather, it would be taxable under the head business or profession. So, friends, you might be getting a small idea that when does salary becomes chargeable to tax. Now, friends, you might be thinking that I have told you basis of charge of salary, but I have actually not explained you what does salary mean. So, friends, let us have quick look in the term salary. Generally, friends, for us, salary means whatever amount received from the employer, either in cash or in bank account. But friends, for Income Tax Act, salary is much more wider than what we receive in monetary terms. For Income Tax Act, salary means both monetary and non-monetary payment. So friends, salary include following: wages, any annuity or pension received, any gratuity, any fees, commission, perquisite, or profit in lieu of salary, or in addition to any salary or wages, any advance of salary, any payment received in respect of any period of leave not availed by him, that is, leave salary or leave encashment, provident fund, the portion of annual accretion in any previous year to the balance at the credit of an employee participating in a recognized provident fund to the extent it is taxable, and transferred balance in recognized provident fund to the extent it is taxable. What does actually this means? There is certain limit prescribed for transfer of provident fund by the employer on behalf of employee. If employer is transferring more than that limit, then such amount becomes taxable. Then contribution made by central government or any other employer in the previous year to the account of an employee under pension scheme referred to in section 80 CCD. In short, friends, we can say that whatever received from the employer shall be chargeable to salary unless and until there is some exceptions or deductions. We receive allowances from employer, and as earlier we have seen in the definition, allowances is included in salary. But friends, not all allowances are chargeable to tax. Some are fully taxable, some are partly taxable, and some are fully exempt. First, let us have look into fully taxable allowances. First one, entertainment allowance. Next, DNS allowance, overtime allowance, fixed medical allowance, city compensatory allowance to meet increased cost of living in cities, interim allowance, servant allowance, project allowance, tiffin or lunch or dinner allowance, any other cash allowance, warden allowance, non practicing allowance. If all the above allowances are provided by the employer, then that shall be fully taxable. Now, let us have look into fully exempt allowances. Allowances granted to government employee outside India, allowances granted to High Court judges, sumptuary allowance granted to High Court or Supreme Court judges, allowances paid by the United Nations organization, compensatory allowance received by a judge. If all these allowances are received by a person, then that shall be fully exempted from the tax. Now, friends, let us understand partly taxable. There are two: house rent allowance under section 10 subsection 13a, special allowance under section 10 subsection 14. Let us have detailed discussion of this partly taxable allowance. Partly taxable allowance, house rent allowance, HRA. Generally, this is a common allowance and a special allowance given by employer to employee for rent paid for his residence. Deduction is available list of the following amounts. There are three conditions given. Lower of the three shall be allowed as deduction. This it will be seeming almost similar to section 80 GG which we have seen in our earlier videos. There we have discussed that if any person is receiving HRA then 80 GG is not applicable. Let us have look into HRA deductions calculation. If first condition is actual HRA received, second condition is 50% of basic salary plus DNS allowance for those living in metro city, or 40% of basic salary plus DNS allowance for those who are living in non-metro cities. Third is actual rent paid minus 10% of basic salary plus DNS allowance. Least of these three shall be allowed as deduction. Entertainment allowance is also partly taxable. You must be thinking, earlier I have sent entertainment allowance as fully taxable, but now I am telling partly taxable. Friends, it is fully taxable for non government employee. Deduction of entertainment allowance is allowed only to a government employee. Now, friends, let us understand fully exempted allowances. If any government employee is providing its services outside India and allowances is paid for the same, such allowance shall be fully exempted. Any allowances given to High Court judges, allowances paid by United Nations organization, compensatory allowances received by a judge, sumptuary allowance granted to High Court or Supreme Court judge. What does sumptuary allowance means? Sumptuary allowance means expenses incurred by judge for entertaining the visitors, and allowance paid for the same shall be fully exempt. So friends, we can observe one thing from this, that exempted allowances are mostly to government employees only. Now friends, let us understand the term annuity. In the definition of salary, we have seen the term annuity. It shall be added with salary. Annuity means it's a sum payable in respect of particular year. It is a yearly grant. If a person invests some money entitling him to series of equal annual sums, such annual sums are annuities in the hands of investor. So in short, let me explain you that employer opens up some annuity plan with LIC or other recognized institution and pay such amount for the plan, and this amount shall be received either in periodic basis in future under the head salaries. It's just a type of investment we are making for the future. It's a savings of amount. If annuity is received from the present employer, it shall be taxed as salary, irrespective of the fact that it was paid in pursuance of a contract obligation or voluntarily. It means annuity received from the present employer shall be charged as salary. If the same annuity is received from the past employer, then shall be chargeable as profit in lieu of salary. And annuity received other than employer shall be taxable as income from other sources. Now, friends, what about pension? Whether it is salary or not, As we have seen in our definition, pension shall be included in salary. Pension are of two types: commuted pension and commuted pension. If pension is received periodically, then that is called as uncommuted pension, which is fully taxable in the hands of both government and non-government employee. Then what does commuted pension means? Commuted pension means claiming lump sum amount either in whole or in part. Most of the persons convert their future right of receiving the pension into present lump sum amount. Commuted pension is fully exempt to government employee. In case of non-government employee, if gratuity is received with pension, then one third of the pension amount received shall be exempted. If gratuity is not received with pension, then half of the amount of pension received shall be exempt. Now let us have discussion on gratuity taxability. What does gratuity means? Gratuity is an appreciation amount received by an employee from the employer for providing his services to the organization. And there is a separate act which governs the payment of gratuity, that is Gratuity Act 1972. Nowadays, gratuity has become normal payment applicable to all employees. So, let us have look into it. Gratuity can be received either while providing the services or at the time of retirement. If gratuity is received while providing the services is fully taxable. If gratuity is receiving at the time of retirement or death, then in case of government employees it is fully exempt. In case of non-government employees, there are certain conditions. If it is covered under Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, then list of the following would be exempt: rupees 10 lakhs, gratuity received, or 15 days salary based on last drawn salary for every completed year or service or part in excess of 6 months, and number of days in a month to be taken as 26. So friends, in short we can say that if organization is covered under Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, maximum of 10 lakh gratuity received can be claimed as exemption, maximum of 10 lakh, but least of rupees 10 lakhs gratuity received or 15 days salary based on last drawn salary. So this calculation is 15 divided by 26 multiplied with number of completed years of service or part in excess of 6 months. If it is not covered under Payment of Gratuity Act, then least of the following would be exempt, that is rupees 10 lakhs gratuity received and half month salary based on average of 10 months salary for every completed year of service, that is here no excess of 6 months can be taken, it shall be completed year only. And here for calculation purpose month should consist of 30 days. So here calculation is half month salary divided by 30 days multiplied with number of completed years of service. Here salary shall be taken as average of 10 months of salary. So in short, here also maximum of rupees 10 lakhs can be claimed as exemption, but least of the following should also be considered, that is 10 lakhs gratuity received or half month salary based on average last 10 months salary for every completed year of service, and number of days to be taken in a month is 30. Now friends, let us understand taxability of leave encashment. Generally friends, we have paid leaves or leaves allowed during the period, but Sometimes we don't avail such leaves, in which we are given the option of accumulating the leaves or to be encashed anytime or at the time of termination of or retirement. Such payment received for not availing the leaves is called as encashment of unavailed leave and would form part of salary. Let us have small discussion for leave encashment. If leave encashment is received during the period of service is fully taxable. If it is received at the time of retirement or whether on superannuation or otherwise, then in case of government employee it is fully exempt. In case other than government employee, then least of the following is exempt. First one is 3 lakhs, second is leave salary actually received, third is 10 months salary on the basis of average of last 10 months salary received or cash equivalent of leave based on last 10 months average salary to his credit at the time of retirement. Here, there is a condition that earned leave entitlement cannot exceed 30 days for every year of actual service. Now, let us understand fees, commission, perquisite, or profit in lieu of salary or in addition to any salary or wages. Friends, if we are receiving any commission or fees from the employer, then that shall be fully taxable. Commission, as we know, that it is a certain percentage of amount paid by the employer on turnover or on net profit. For perquisite or profit in lieu of salary, we are going to have little detailed discussion under section 17 subsection 2 and 17 subsection 3. Now friends, let us understand taxability of provident fund. Provident fund is a scheme which is for the benefits of the employee at the time of his retirement. In this, a certain amount is deducted from the salary of the employee and contributed towards the fund. For provident fund, generally there are two types of contribution by employer and contribution by employee. Both employer and employee's contribution are invested into approved security and interest is earned on the same. Contribution made by the employer is the amount out of his pocket. At the time of retirement, this accumulated balance is paid to the employee, or at the time of death of the employee, it is paid to the legal heirs. So, friends, Provident Fund account consists of employees' contribution, employer's contribution, interest on employees' contribution, and interest on employer's contribution. Now friends, let us understand contribution under pension scheme referred in section 80 National Pension Scheme is a government approved scheme for the citizens of India aged between 18 to 60 years. Subscribers of National Pension Scheme contribute certain amount in the account and employer may also contribute into the employee's account. However, while computing total income tax of the employee, deduction under section 80 is allowed to SSC in respect of both employer and employee contribution under the pension scheme referred in. So friends, if you are aged between 18 to 60 years and having national pension scheme and contributing in for the same, and your employer may also contribute for the national pension scheme, then employee can claim as deduction of such contribution in the pension scheme by both employer and employee under section 80 Profit in lieu of salary. In most of the places, we have come across profits in lieu of salary. What does actually profits in lieu of salary means? In addition to regular salary, if you are getting some benefits from the employer, then it is called as profits in lieu of salary, like compensation received for termination of the employment, compensation received for any modification or terms of employment, or any key man insurance policy can be considered as profits in lieu of salary. Now friends, we have come to our last part of the today's session, which is really favorite of all of us, that is deductions from salary. First one, there is a standard deduction given. Standard deduction of rupees 40,000 can be claimed from the total income. This standard deduction was reintroduced in 2018 budget, replacing conveyance allowance and medical allowance. Then comes to entertainment allowance. As earlier discussed, entertainment allowance is exempt only to government employees. So there are three conditions given here. Least of the three can be claimed as deduction. First one is 1/5 of the basic salary, 5,000, or rupee entertainment allowance received. Third one is professional tax on employment. Professional tax is levied by state under Article 276 of the Constitution, which says that deduction is allowed only if professional tax is actually paid by employee during the previous year. Generally, this professional tax is paid by the employer on behalf of the employee and is added into the salary income later on. It can be claimed as deduction under section 16. So friends, there are three deductions. First one is standard deduction of rupees 40,000. Second is entertainment allowance only for government employee with three conditions, and professional tax on employment allowed as deduction under section 16 only if paid by the employee. Thank you friends for watching this video till the end. Have a great time. If you have liked this video, please do like and share and subscribe to our channel.